Good evening, I'm Keisha Butts with the CTV News Update. As the region gears up for the end of daylight savings time, leaders from across the DMV want drivers to keep a close eye out for bicyclists and pedestrians. Law enforcement and MVA officials from Maryland, Virginia, and the district kicked off a Fall Street Smart campaign today. The goal is to prevent deaths and injuries on local roadways. In 2020, nearly 100 bicyclists and pedestrians died on roads across the metro region.
So, for drivers, we really say, make sure you pay attention. Driving requires that full time and attention. Slow down. Obviously, if you're driving faster, you're more likely to cause serious injury. Please, avoid those distractions and really focus on that job at hand and look out for pedestrians. They may be in places you don't expect them. You expect them in crosswalks, you might find them in other places.
Too many of our motorists continue to have a lack of respect for everyone on the road who's not in a 2,000-pound, 3,000-pound piece of metal, and they have no respect for pedestrians. They have no respect for bicyclists.
Nizer says if you're involved in a crash, remain in your car until emergency crews arrive. The latest COVID-19 numbers indicate the positivity rate for the state and Prince George's County is below 3%, with the numbers easing downward. The county's number, which is below the state's figure, is at 2.52%. The health department, meantime, has identified 800 new cases. 14 Marylanders have died from the disease since yesterday. 531 people remain hospitalized. As the rollout of Pfizer kid-sized vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds continues in Maryland, Governor Larry Hogan says parents should consult their pediatrician about the vaccine. According to the state, about 515,000 Maryland kids are now eligible to get the shots. Hogan says healthcare providers, including pediatricians and pharmacies, can now begin scheduling appointments with young patients. The state ordered about 180,000 doses of Pfizer's kid-sized vaccine and expects to receive more in the coming weeks.
The Maryland GoVax call center, which has already scheduled more than 460,000 vaccination appointments, sent over 1.5 million outbound texts, and made more than 11 million proactive outreach calls to eligible Marylanders, is immediately launching a new, robust effort to reach the parents of all eligible Maryland children.
So it is a safe vaccine and 90.7% effective at preventing symptomatic infection from COVID-19 among the 5 to 11-year-olds who participated in the clinical studies here in the United States and around the world, including when the Delta variant had become more prevalent in the summertime.
Hogan says all 24 local school systems are expected to hold mobile school vaccination clinics. There's a new at-large council member in the city of Laurel. He's Martin Mitchell. He bested Frederick Smalls with 722 votes in Tuesday's election. Mitchell has been a resident of the city for about 25 years. He says some of his top priorities include diversifying Laurel events, revitalizing Main Street, and COVID-19 relief.
This $21.4 million that we're getting for the rescue plan, the council is going to, be deciding and, helping make decisions on how that money is spent. One of the things that I want to continue to do is make sure that the community has input. I think that there's a lot of the community that hasn't had input on how the money should be spent. They sent out a survey. I know that it was put out on social media. One of the things I want to make sure that it gets to, every doorstep, to every resident to figure out how the money should be spent.
The city will host a swearing-in ceremony for the council on November 22nd. You're watching CTV News. I'm Keisha Butts. We'll be back in just one moment.
Both of my great-grandfathers have been a part of that study. My roots in environmental health come from my great-grandfathers. They were sharecroppers, and then later they were able to own land for their family for generations to come. My ancestors' connection to the land has given me a strong care for our environment and how that environment influences human health. I am a fierce advocate for equitable treatment for all. The ways in which COVID-19 ravaged Black communities showed that we have underlying vulnerabilities when something like a pandemic hits. The path from tragedy to triumph travels along the path of learning.
We hear the stories of people forced to abandon their home. The stories of people whose dreams have been swept away, or their lives left hanging by a thread. Or whose worlds have been blasted apart. Although the stories repeat themselves, each person's experience is unique as they are. And whether it's care or community that people need, we're here to help them live a new chapter, to embrace what makes them unique, be a lifeline to the most vulnerable.
Welcome back. Montgomery County lawmakers pass a measure to limit tenant rent increases and late fees. The measure, sponsored by Will Jawando, passed unanimously. The existing law restricting rent hikes during the pandemic expires on November 15th. Jawando's bill extends relief until May 2022. As we told you earlier this week, Maryland's medical debt protection law is being rolled out. Among the provisions is a measure that makes it illegal for hospitals to seek an arrest warrant against patients for medical debt. Also, patients cannot lose their home if they're pursued for medical debt. Erica DeWorkin, who works 2 jobs, faced several $100s in medical debt in 2018. She was helped by the Maryland Consumer Rights Coalition, one of the organizations that sponsored the bill.
And so, yeah, it's wonderful that we have finally a law that will support in, not destroying these people's lives because they owe, bills to a hospital. That this basic need is not being taken care of for them. So I think that's a wonderful thing.
For more information about the law and to get help, go to marylandconsumers.org and scroll down to medical debt rights. Prince George's police are investigating a shooting death that unfolded in Chilham yesterday, not far from Chilham Elementary School. Investigators say a man was shot on the 5700 block of 16th Avenue at around 9 o'clock yesterday morning. Police say he then made his way a short distance to the 1300 block of Chilham Road, not far from John the Baptist School. That's where police found him suffering from gunshot wounds. He died several hours later. Police have made an arrest in connection with a fatal shooting in Lanham. This is the suspect, 32-year-old Damien Sams of Washington, D.C. Sams has been charged with the October 30th death of 44-year-old Philip Brown of Bowie. The incident happened at the VFW post on Good Luck Road, where Brown was working as a security guard. Investigators say after shooting the victim, Sams was then shot by another security guard. Sams walked into a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and was later released. He was picked up in D.C. and is awaiting extradition to Prince George's County. A Baltimore judge dismisses an unemployment lawsuit filed against the state. Judge John Nugent says the remaining plaintiffs in the case failed to exhaust their appeals through the state labor department. The plaintiffs say the state failed to process unemployment claims in a timely manner, causing undue hardships. Many say their claims were disqualified or placed on hold because of suspected fraud. And still ahead on the news, scientists gather for a lunar surface conference at Bowie State University. We'll have those details next.
Work, school, grocery shopping, doctor's appointments, the gym, to the airport to pick up loved ones, to the kids' soccer games, piano lessons, out for movie night, to hear your favorite band in the city, over to Grandma and Grandpa's house, and on last year's amazing road trip. Your vehicle takes you so many places. Protect it. When you leave your vehicle, remember to always take your keys or key fob with you and lock the doors. If you suspect auto theft, contact the National Insurance Crime Bureau at 1-800-TEL-NICB. That's 1-800-TEL-NICB, or visit our website at www.nicb.org. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
Thank you for staying with us. A fire rips through a New Carrollton home, displacing 3 people. It happened yesterday afternoon in the 6200 block of 87th Avenue. The blaze caused about $35,000 in damages. Officials say the cause of the fire is undetermined. The last time NASA sent people to the moon was in 1972. Now at Bowie State University, scientists are discussing ways to go back. BSU hosted the Lunar Surface Innovation Consortium for the 2nd day in a row. Experts from NASA, various schools, and nonprofits took part in several sessions, such as autonomy robotics. Prince George's County students also participated and built different robots.
This consortium is the brain trust of industry, government, and academia to come together and work on cracking the nuts of the really hard challenges of returning to the moon, establishing a presence there that's safe, and able to then use the moon as a launching pad for going to Mars.
Part of why we wanted to host it at Bowie State is to highlight the computer science efforts that are going on here and their department, because a lot of the work that people are doing in all of this technological development for the lunar surface can also be applied on Earth.
For more information on the event, visit the website on your screen. Sports news: the Nittany Lions are coming to town. Penn State will be in College Park this weekend to take on the Terps football team. Both teams are 5-3 on the season. Head coach Mike Loxley says the key to victory is limiting mistakes.
It's not something we would talk about before, but because we are at 5 and this is the next game, there's a couple of things that are at stake. You know, an opportunity to have the best possible record playing here at the Shell. That's something going into the season. We've got to make this place a place that's hard for opponents to come in and play. I think our team has a little confidence coming from last year in that, you know, we went up there and we beat a really good Penn State team.
They're a much different team than last year. The defense flows much more to the ball. From a receiver standpoint, I say they're cornerbacks. They're more bigger, physical, so we probably have to add more tools to your toolbox to kind of beat them this week with all the things that they do defensively.
We expect it to be one of those games where, you know, the team that makes the least amount of mistakes, the teams that has the most explosive plays will have an opportunity to win. And we need to make it that kind of game. We've got to get it into the fourth quarter of the game and give ourselves or put ourselves in position to come out with a win.
The teams kick off Saturday at 3:30. Turning to the weather forecast tonight, frosty conditions with low temperatures around 33 degrees. Friday, sunny with highs in the 50s. Saturday and Sunday, mostly sunny skies with high temperatures in the mid-50s. And now for the community calendar. Puppet Friends in Storyland is coming to Watkins Park Nature Center. The family-friendly event for preschoolers will be held tomorrow morning from 10 to 10:30. You can register at Parks Direct or call 301-218-6702 for more information. And that's your CTV News Update. I'm Keisha Butts. Have a good night.
Time for my monthly book club. It's an opportunity for us girls to connect and remind each other who's on mute. And this is how we have to meet. Because when we spend time indoors with people, we can still spread COVID faster than Nancy's gossip. That's why I'm still masking wherever I go. Because until I'm vaccinated, a mask helps slow the spread. Which means the sooner I can get back to a friend's house to judge their interior design. We can't hear you, Dolores.